Out to the Center for Politics, Women in Virginia Politics Conference. My name is Meg Hubeck. I am the Director of Instruction at the Center for Politics, and I have the pleasure of introducing my boss, Executive Director Larry Sabato. I will just say that he is wonderful and leave it at that and let him talk to you.
Thank you very much, Meg. That was very nice. And my mother isn't here, see? So mothers, the only ones who want to hear your bio. Look, we are just delighted to have you. Welcome to the annual Virginia Political History Project sponsored by the University of Virginia Center for Politics. And let me thank all of the staff of the Center for Politics. I want you to raise your hands. I see some of you back there. They've worked, as they always do, very, very hard on this for many months, and you are benefiting from their hard work, and we appreciate your participation as well. Let me also thank the offices of the Clerk of the House and Senate, all of our panelists. I know we have some great panelists today, our guest speakers who are going to make a great contribution to this event. I have great news for you. This is a debt-free conference. It's totally paid for. Former Lieutenant Governor Hager is thrilled because that's the Virginia way, John. We pay our bills here, unlike Washington, D.C. When you're debt-free, the sky, not the debt, is the limit. That was a little pun. Okay. Now I'm gonna play to this crowd. I'm gonna pretend that I'm a politician, John. Okay. Now this really is playing to the crowd, but I believe this. I wrote it myself. If gender positions in Washington were reversed, and women had 75% of the seats in Congress, do you think we would be in this mess right now? We agree. We absolutely agree. Now, men and women in this room, I think everybody, men and women, will agree. We all know that women, with some notable exceptions, won't mention them, are more consensus-oriented than men and appear to have an easier time putting aside their personal egos to reach reasonable agreements. Is it testosterone? I don't know. That's out of my field. But I'm just wondering if it's testosterone. Bob Gibson will confirm this later today. I think that's an important point. It's just a personal opinion. It's not provable, but I'll bet the nation wouldn't be on the edge of default if women were running the meetings in the White House, the Senate, and the House. And that's an argument relating to what we're seeing today, this disaster unfolding in Washington. It's awful, and it could get worse or it could get better, but it's just a horrible embarrassment to the entire world. And that's not to say that any one particular group is responsible. There's enough blame to go around. My God, we're not going to go into that, but everybody is to blame for what's happening. So in any event, I've been around politicians all my life. I can pander with the best of them, John. I hope you'll agree with me. Anyway, I know many of you have traveled here from all over the state, and we appreciate your spending the day with us. When we began planning for this conference on women in politics a year ago, we couldn't have imagined it would occur on such a potentially historic day. If you've been following the news, then you already know that today the General Assembly has been called in a special session, partly to fill judicial vacancies. Among the vacancies are two on the state Supreme Court. News reports, they could be wrong, have suggested that the General Assembly is likely to select women to fill probably both openings. If reports are correct, the next two justices elected to the Virginia Supreme Court will be Court of Appeals Judge Elizabeth McClanahan and Court of Appeals Judge Cleo Powell, and of course Judge Powell would become the first African-American woman to serve on the state's highest court. So two vacancies, two women. That's new in Virginia, in my experience anyway. And as of next week, I'll be entering my 60th year. So I think I remember a good bit of recent Virginia history anyway. We'll stay tuned and see what the General Assembly actually decides today. Back to this conference. Some of you were here in 2006 when the Center for Politics conducted a series of conferences on women in politics across the country and also in Virginia. Now, why are we revisiting the topic just 5 years later? Well, in a phrase, it's because so much work remains to be done. Today, I'm sorry to say, Virginia is among the largest states with no women serving in either statewide or federal elective office. Not a single woman serves in Congress, in the Senate, or in the House. Governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general. Not commenting on the quality of the people who are there. I'm sure they're very good people, but I'm just saying, 100% male is not, in some senses, depending on how you define representative of the people of Virginia. I mean, it's what, almost 53% women. So, there's a little imbalance there, wouldn't you say? And it seems to me that is a clue to all of us that maybe, just maybe, the system isn't being as responsive as it ought to be, or that maybe people, including women, are not as involved in politics as perhaps we would all wish for them to be. So I think that there's a reason to have this conference and to have another one just 5 years after the earlier one. To date, as you all know, Virginia has elected only one woman to statewide office, though another woman ran. Of course, the one who won was former Attorney General Mary Sue Terry. Is Mary Sue here with us today? I thought she was coming. I think she will be here later if she's not here at the moment. Yes, she's going to be here later today. It says right here in my notes. Okay. Good staff work. Very good staff work on here. Okay. And let's not forget Eddie Dalton, who ran for statewide office. She didn't win, but she ran and had Emily Couric lived, I think she would have been elected lieutenant governor, probably would have been governor instead of Tim Kaine in 2005. Not, again, saying it's better or worse, simply saying that would have happened had events permitted it to occur. So, part of this is circumstances, and you have to take that into account. Nonetheless, it's a concern. Now, all of our esteemed speakers gathered here today will examine these and other important topics. We'll explore the opportunities and challenges for women who are considering public office from everybody's perspective, from the left and the right and the middle. And we've got conservative and liberal groups this afternoon are going to be meeting with their potential candidates and suggesting things to them, targeting some best practices that will help women get the tools and resources necessary to run for public office and to win public office, and not just public office. There are loads of ways to serve. You don't have to run. You can participate in campaigns. You can just be a good citizen. You can write letters to the editor and hope they get printed. I mean, there are all kinds of things that you can do. Please don't go on and make comments, though, on this. Boy, there are some really strange people who do that all the time. To stay out of that. Make no mistake, I'm just kidding, in case that's being recorded. Totally kidding. Of course, I encourage everybody to go on and make cranky comments online. Look, make no mistake about it, in this state named after a woman, women have been shaping our social and political structures for centuries. History suggests that the first permanent English settlement on this continent may not have even survived had it not been for the generous assistance and diplomacy of a young Native American woman named Pocahontas. Chip Mann insisted that we put Pocahontas in here from his Jamestown days. But we are here today less to celebrate the achievements of past women in Virginia politics, but more to ask, how can we improve? How can we get more women from the left, from the right, from the middle, Republicans, Democrats, independents, or nonpartisan, where elections are nonpartisan? How can we help to get them involved in the public process and the electoral process? How can we create more opportunities for future generations of women? We've explored we've got many of the best and brightest in Virginia politics today here with us to explore this. All of our guest speakers and panelists represent the pioneering spirit that has produced progress in Virginia over the centuries, and there are so many of you in this room who have earned the title of First X, whatever it is. The first woman to do this, the first woman to do that, the first woman to do this thing over here. And so each of you is to be commended for your service and for your willingness to make a difference, and we hope you will participate and add your thoughts and views as we move through the day. I leave you with an observation written by that most perceptive observer of America, Alexis de Tocqueville. Maybe his wife wrote it. I don't know. But he's given credit for it, as was so often true in those days. He was recording his observations of our young democracy during the early 1800s, and he wrote, "I have nowhere seen women occupying a loftier position than in America. And if I were asked, now that I'm drawing to the close of this work, in which I have spoken of so many important things done by the Americans, to what the singular prosperity and growing strength of that people ought mainly to be attributed, I should reply," you'll love this, "to the superiority of the American woman." In the middle 1800s, when this clearly was not the mainstream view, I would say, and he's French, you know. I'm not going to go beyond that. I'm going to be in Paris in December. I have to be careful.